I'm here today to discuss joint agency efforts which has led to the seizure of 2.7 tonnes of cocaine from a semi-rural property west of Sydney. This is the largest ever cocaine seizure in Australia. Had it reached the Australian community, it would have had an estimated street value, conservatively, of about 816 million Australian dollars. This equates to about 3 million street-level deals. That's more than $800 million that won't make it into the pockets of organised crime. It also means that millions of Australians will be protected from the scourge of illicit drugs. Added to the previous seizure in Queensland, this means more than 3 tonnes of border-controlled drugs have been seized in this QJOCTF-led operation, with an estimated combined streets value conservatively of $904.9 million. Depending on how the organised crime syndicate dealt with these drugs, it could easily have pushed over 1 billion Australian dollars. This is an exceptional outcome from a matter which, as we reported previously, started with reports of a burnt-out truck in North Queensland. It has now become a multi-state, international, multi-tonne drug seizure investigation. These results highlight the ability of the QJOCTF to respond to and to combat the organised crime landscape. Also significantly, it shows how a small report from the community, even when something seemingly innocuous, can lead to something significantly bigger. This has saved potentially millions of people from harm from illicit drugs, either from its consumption or from the violence associated with distribution and sale of illicit drugs. Organised crime syndicates have consistently sought to find vulnerabilities in our northern regions to exploit for profit, but they face a much stronger presence from law enforcement and border agencies in Queensland. In this region, in Queensland, the AFP, the Queensland Police Service and the Australian Border Force are building up a North Queensland Joint Organised Crime Task Force, the NQJOCTF, to detect, disrupt and dismantle serious organised crime. This is in addition to the QJOCTF, based here in Brisbane, which has a proven track record of targeting and dismantling organised crime syndicates seeking to import tonnes of drugs. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the officers involved in this investigation for their continued dedication to combating the organised crime syndicates that cause such high levels of harm to our community. I also want to specifically acknowledge and thank the efforts of our Sydney-based AFP officers for their tireless work, which commenced on Friday and throughout the weekend, leading to the identification of these purpose-built hides in which the cocaine was stored and the arrest of 2 alleged offenders. While some elements of this investigation remain ongoing, myself and my QPS and ABF colleagues are very happy to take questions at this juncture.
Can you give us a sense of Midpoint, obviously a relatively remote area, give us a sense of why you think it was used for this meeting?
Do you want to talk to that? Yeah, sure.
Criminals will always test our border in Queensland. What's important for the public to know is that we have relationships amongst our law enforcement partners that are second to none, and this outcome, this record-breaking outcome, is testament to that.
So it's because it's remote, effectively that's what is attractive as far as...
Absolutely. You know, we have over 13,000 kilometres squared of coastline in Queensland, so criminals are and will test it. But the collaboration we have amongst our law enforcement partners is evident from the outcome you've seen in the previous few weeks.
With the drugs at Midge Point, why do we believe they were left there? Do we think something went wrong?
Good morning, everyone. Troy Picalis, I'm Detective Acting Chief Superintendent, Queensland Police. It'll be alleged that the initial response was to a vehicle on fire. It'll be alleged that it was potentially to destroy evidence at the time. What I can say is that it's a credit to our frontline investigators that from that, just that initial response, assessment and investigation and inquiries they conducted, that we got to the result that we are. That really unified approach to dealing with organised crime, as Commander Jay mentioned.
Is there any indication why the people involved in this thought they needed to destroy evidence at the time, if it was that fire that actually was what put them on the radar of authorities?
I think at any stage along the supply chain or the offending chain of this investigation, there was attempts to conceal what they're doing. You know, we're talking about the largest seizure ever in Australia. So a lot comes with that if they're detected and caught and prosecuted, which has occurred. So they've used a model of alliances along the way. I would suggest that our alliance is a lot greater.
The importation process, do you have a sense of where the mothership came from? Have you been able to intercept that? And what's the sort of process?
I'll defer to AFP for that one. Thanks.
Thank you for the question. That's still very much an active line of inquiry for us. What I would reference is we currently have a vessel which has been detained in the Solomon Islands, the MV Wealth. Solomon Islands authorities are currently examining that, and we hope to get some further detail in due course as to that. So that's still very much an active line of inquiry. It goes to the point we have made previously, though, about the importance of our relationship with Pacific agencies, Pacific partners, and because we do recognise that the Pacific is an avenue through which drugs reach our country, and it's a very important thing for all of our agencies, and particularly the AFP and the ABF.
How many shipments were found? Or?
Sorry, how many shipments?
Yeah, that you were able to disrupt, I guess.
We would consider the seizures in Western Sydney and in Brisbane as the same importation. So in totality, we believe it's 3.1 tonnes of border control drugs. We see that as having come off the same vessel, the same importation.
How many times, is there any estimate on how many times that ship might have done this before?
No, I don't have that detail. That's still obviously something we're trying to understand in coming days, depending on what comes from the investigation in the Solomon Islands.
Are you investigating whether there's more that you haven't found or anything like that?
Look, we're reasonably comfortable that we have got all the border control drugs that have come in through this importation, but we keep our eyes and mind open, I guess, to the possibility that there is additional drugs. The other point I would make is it's a significant amount of border control drugs. 8 people have been charged. Realistically, we expect there'll be further activity ongoing as well. It's a significant importation. It's a significant amount of drugs. It has a significant syndicate sitting behind it, we have no doubt.
Last week you mentioned that you were investigating whether bikies were involved. Now that it's progressed a bit more, do you think bikies are involved behind this?
We're not really at a point at this stage to attribute it to any particular organised crime syndicate. I think historically what we have known is that outlaw motorcycle gangs do pose a threat to our country. I think it's fair to say with the size of this importation, it's a significant organised crime syndicate. Exactly who that is, that's still very much something we're examining.
Were you expecting to find as much as you did, given how small the busts have been?
We recognised, as I said, we understood it was off a large vessel. We expected it to be of a large quantity. Perhaps we didn't expect it to be as big as that. Suffice to say, I think when the investigators identified it in that complex hide in the shipping container in Sydney, they were very pleased with the quantity that was seized.
Can you speak to the hide at all? I mean, how elaborate was the false flooring and how much investigation was required to uncover the illicits? It
was a complex hide, so it was concealed underground in plastic tubs, buried underground. When our investigators from AFP Eastern Command arrived on the scene, they observed a large quantity of disturbed earth right next to this shipping container, so that obviously turned their mind to the fact that there may have been a concealment in the floor there, and that's obviously where they turned their attention. But I would emphasise, as they went in there was a large amount of disturbed earth immediately near that shipping container, so clearly as investigators that would be something they would focus on. And but a complex hide and obviously designed for the purpose of concealing it. It's what was there.
The police believe the owners of the London Ferry property knew.
This is something we're still examining at this stage. We don't have that belief, but obviously it's still very much an active investigation at this stage. So 2 people were charged, the property owner wasn't charged at this stage.
You've spoken about the North Queensland. Obviously it's a challenge for you to patrol long stretches of coast. Is that part of the task force that you've now established to increase patrols for this kind of activity? Yeah, I think the clear takeaway from us, from all of the agencies standing here today, is that we recognise organised crime, perceive that there's a vulnerability in North Queensland. The results we've seen here, the result we saw with Operation Tirrandor, which was Australia's previous largest cocaine seizure in central Queensland,
demonstrates we're joined up. The North Queensland JOCTF was an announcement by our agencies to reflect that we are seeing increased effort by organised crime to target our large coastline. We're joined up, and I think the results we've demonstrated through the Q JOCTF and now with the North Queensland JOCTF, that avenue is closed for organised crime, and this serves as a good opportunity to warn them that not to contemplate similar activities. Do you want to add anything further?
Do you think the, just want to ask about the Solomon Islands connection, the mothership's detained there, do you think that that's where it originated from, or is it just where it happened to be intercepted?
My understanding is that no, it hasn't come out of the Solomon Islands. It's come from another direction. So it has been detained by Solomon Islands Police. We shared information with the Solomon Islands Police and Customs, and they detained the vessel. But no, in answer to your question, we don't believe the drugs had come from the Solomon Islands.
That's an idea of where you think it's come from.
That's still very much something we're looking at. Traditionally, we have seen drugs coming from across the Pacific. With this one, we're still trying to understand that, but possibly it's come from an alternate route, which is through North Asia.
Will AFP officers go to the Solomons, or will the ship be brought back to Australia as part of this investigation?
No, for us, the Solomon Islands is obviously a sovereign country. They're acting under their own accord. We have had a request for specialist assistance, which the AFP and the ABF can provide. So that support has been offered. But just to be really clear, that was at the request of the Royal Solomon Islands Police Force. They've asked for our assistance, and we've tendered that.
There's been a very public war waging between rival drug groups in Sydney. Will this disrupt it or inflame it?
I think traditionally what we know with organised crime is violence is baked into the organised crime network. Activities are intrinsically that. And we look at the impact of organised crime and illicit drugs, the impact on individuals with drug addiction and the like, and we do see violence as well. Someone's lost a lot of money. I think that's fair to say, but from policing perspective with New South Wales Police, the AFP Queensland Police, law enforcement is ready to respond. But yeah, it's fair to say someone's lost a lot of money, and there'll be some soul searching, no doubt, about losing this significant quantity, Australia's largest quantity of cocaine.
Just off that a little bit, I guess, how many shipments do you think we are disrupting or getting through with, in general? Are we finding 20% of what's out there, or?
I think it's actually really, really difficult to quantify that. I don't know the answer to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
All good, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.